Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Love Well podcast. My name is Marlene,
And my name is Anna.
and we are super excited that you are joining back in with us as we prepare and continue to share stories. And today we have a very, very special guest. So I'm going to let my friend Anna tell us a little bit about our guest today.
Yes, so we have John Banera with us today, and he is all the way from Nashville, Tennessee. If you're a country music fan, there you go. But he's originally also from the Congo, Democratic Republic of the Congo. So we are honored to have him with us today to talk a little bit about growing up in the Congo, what it looked like to immigrate here in the States, and just get all of his take on that. So, John, would you like to tell the audience a little bit about yourself and maybe what it was like growing up in the Congo?
Oh yeah, for sure. Hey guys, my name is John Tibanera, and I'm super excited to be on this podcast, Love Whale podcast. Man, I'm so pumped, and I'm really excited to share my story over here. Yeah, I am originally from the Democratic Republic of the Congo, and just a little bit of a history of the Congo. Congo is the second largest country in the continent of Africa. It is very big, and it is extremely rich with natural resources. And I know some of you all may be wondering, how is Congo so rich? And we hear a lot of negative stories about Congo, but Congo is extremely rich with all the natural resources. Congo has the 60% or to 80% of the world coltons of natural resources that are natural resources that powers all our cell phones, like in the computer devices, our cell phones. No cell phone, no Congo. No computers, no Congo. Uh,
Love.
yep, that devices powers all our cell phones, computer
Mm.
engines, computer jets. Um,
Dang.
it makes bombs. So Congo contribute so much into the world
Mm.
technology, and
Mhm.
we have a lot of golds. We have a lot of diamonds. It is considered the richest
Hmm.
the richest country in the world when it comes to natural resources. But those natural resources became our curse for Congo because a country that has a lot of natural resources, there's not going to be peace over there because everybody in the world needs that natural resources. All the world, like companies like Apple, whatever is that, they need
Mm.
those resources to continue
Yeah.
making their business huge. And that is the cost why I became a refugee. Because since 1998, the Democratic Republic of Congo has lost almost 6 million people have killed in the
Wow.
Democratic Republic of the Congo. And a little bit of the history, even before 1998, Congo was under the rule of King Leopold of the Belgium, and he killed almost 20 million Congolese in the Congo. And I just
Wow.
gave you the history. All that is the reason why I became a refugee, is because of Congolese natural resources. And that is
Mm.
also why Congo brings a lot of refugees in the US. Even according to the UN report this year, it's so many Congolese who have entered the US more than any other countries in the world. It's because of the war that is unending in the Democratic Republic of Congo. And when I grew up in the Congo as a young child, just as a normal child in the world. And war is something that I never expected that one day I'm gonna experience or is gonna happen. And when I picture back, growing up in the Congo, I was so young during that time, and I was like almost 9 years old. And my family, we were enjoying dinner, we were playing outside kids game with other kids. We were just having a great time. And then just
Mm.
over the sudden we had gunshots and bombs everywhere, like all over the city. And we started running. All the kids, we were confused. We had
Mm.
screams everywhere. We had kids screaming. We had women screaming. We had fires. We had gunshot, and we all run in the house. I hide myself in the house and under the table, and we had bombs and gunshots everywhere. People are screaming, people are dying. We were looking outside the window. Everybody's screaming, everybody's running. There's fire. It was confusion over
Mm.
there. And after a while, my dad told us that nobody's supposed to go outside because there was war happening outside. I was so scared in my life as a young child that night, and it's something that I never experienced before. So my dad,
Mm.
the rebels during that time, they were passing through our villages, and we were so scared. So during that night, my dad told us we cannot stay in this village no more. We have to
Wow.
leave by tonight.
Mm.
My dad told everybody in the family that, hey, everybody, you need to pick it up whatever you can in the house. You need to pick anything, but you can't carry anything heavy. During that time, I was so young. I remember I carried two things: a spoon and a knife. Is the only thing that I put in my pocket. And then
Wow.
we started our journey during that night, and we were just walking, we're just running during the night. We don't know where we're going. And I can remember me and my brother, we were running together, and my dad told us to hold each other hands. And when I was looking on my shoes, we didn't have any shoes. We were not wearing even shoes. And we started running miles and miles. We sleep in the forest. We sleep in the forest while war is going on. And so it was tough. It was really tough. There was while we were running, there were gunshots. People were being dead. People died during that time we were running. Kids were left orphans when you were running. So there was a point that we just sleep in the forest the whole night, and it was like days and days, a week. Nobody's helping my family over there. So we just had just a good Samaritan pass. They helped my family, and they put my family in a bus, and then they drove us to a safety country, which is Kenya. Kenya is an Eastern African country which holds a lot of refugees from Sudan, from Somalia, from just all over the world. They go over there, which is more safe. So uh, when we were in Kenya, we were now known as refugees because we fled our country. We have no home no more. And it was not only us; it was with other thousands of refugees from the Congo. So in Congo, we were given a refugee status, and when you are given a refugee status, now you are under the protection of the UN, which stands for United Nations High Commission for Refugees. So the UN is the one that takes care of refugees. When you register with them, you are under their protection. They're the one that help you to uh, find you a country
Mm.
that is going to give you a resettlement. It may be US, it may be Canada, it may be Australia. So, but you have to go through the United Nations High Commission for Refugees. So we
So,
stayed
John,
in a refugee for
just to give our listeners a little bit more insight into, we've been talking about, as we have
yeah,
heard a couple of different immigration stories. Every process is different. So I hear you
yeah,
mention when you are
very
a
different.
refugee, they try to find a country. Do you have a say into choosing what country you are going to be resettled or your family is going to be resettled to?
You don't you don't have a say. Once you're a
Mm.
refugee, you have nothing to say, you have nothing to
Mm.
contribute. You are there, you are
Wow.
vulnerable. And the best thing to do is just to be there, and they find a safe place for you to go.
Mm.
And
They
So
place
you
you.
wait. You
they
just
place you.
wait. Mm.
Yeah, my family, we waited for 9 years, and
And is
that
it
nine
common for you to like switch from place to place, or once you're there, do you usually just stay at the same place?
no, you can switch, you just stay over there.
Okay.
Wow.
We all stay together with other we all stay with other refugees, and it's not, when you're over there, your life is not normal. You're not living
Mm.
a normal life, because
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
when you're a refugee, Africa is not a United States of Africa. We are not united. So when
Mm.
you are in another country, you're still a foreigner. You're still a
Mm-hmm.
foreigner
Yeah.
in another country, even though you're a refugee, even though you're from Africa. You're
Yeah.
still a refugee in that
Mhm.
country. they have their own laws, they have their own rules. So a refugee is not supposed to work. You're not allowed to work. You're not allowed to make any
Hmm.
income. Like you're just not allowed to live as a normal citizen of that country because you don't have any paperwork. You are illegal in
Yeah.
there. So
Yeah.
So
we just
this is like a very silly question, but what do you do all day then?
you just live a life. You just wait over there, and this UN, the UN, they have programs which they feed refugee. They have like a
Mm.
feeding programs for refugee. So
Mm.
it was really tough. One of the toughest life in my life where my mom we had to go to their office every morning, maybe every Wednesday, like once per week.
Mm.
And
Mm.
every kids we have to make a line. We stay in a line with other refugee, maybe from because the line is thousands of people waiting for food. So and the only
Wow.
food that is there, yep, and the
Mm.
only food that is there, they're serving refugees. They only give you rice, beans, and salt. That's all. And oil, rice, beans, salt, and oil. From That's your life. You're never gonna afford, they're never gonna give you meat, they're never gonna give you chicken, they're never gonna give you nothing. It's rice and beans. That's the only food you're gonna eat as a refugee. That's how I lived my life in a refugee camp before I came to the US. And we could say that like I always say that we survived like
Mm.
birds, how birds survive.
Mm.
Like
Mm-hmm.
Mm. Yeah, and I would like for you to share. I know you have mentioned, you are a Christian, and how did faith play into you living life as a refugee with your family?
Yeah.
wow, that is really a good question because my family we depended on Christ. Without faith
Mm.
we could have died. Without faith we couldn't have survived because it was not another easy place to survive. A lot of refugees they died.
Mm.
They lost their lives. They even lose hope. Because
Mm.
there's it's not 100% that you can survive. First of all, you have to survive war, and then you have to survive starvation as a refugee. You have to live a life where your future is not guaranteed. You don't
Mm.
know, like your life is stuck. You don't know what to expect next. But faith is what kept us going on because we had God, we had Jesus. My dad and my mom, we used to pray every day. Even though we didn't have
Mm.
food, even though we didn't have food to eat, my dad used to make us surround. We surround. We used to live in a room which was like 10 by 10, and we had to surround the table. And my dad would come, was like, "Hey guys, we have empty plates, and I want us to surround these plates and pray without food."
Mm.
I used to think my dad is crazy when he say that, and I'm like, "Why do we have to pray and there's no food?" And then he
Right.
will have take water and pour water into our plates, and then we pray. And then when we're gonna wake up in the morning, we're gonna find food outside. That was one of the most uh miracle that I've ever seen in my life. That
Mm.
Wow.
we prayed for food at night, we wake up in the morning, we've had food at our door. Like I never expect that something like that will ever happen before. And that's
That
when we
literally makes
realize,
me think of like the
yeah,
Lord's Prayer, like give us our food,
yeah,
like a
yeah,
daily bread. Like that's your
yeah,
daily substance, you know?
yeah.
How
Well,
long were
we were
you at the refugee camp
we were over there for
in
nine
Kenya?
years.
Okay.
Yeah,
So that's a long time to be
it is a
eating
long
rice and beans
rice and beans.
and not being able
Rice,
to work.
no, no,
Yeah. So that and that point you're depending on other people to provide. You're
we did.
that's sustenance. But man, how encouraging it is to hear, because it's very easy for us Christians and just general, regardless of our um, place of origin or where we're from, like that dependence piece.
Yeah,
Like it in
Mm.
the hardest of times the hope is Jesus. You guys literally had nothing, which for many of us, including myself, I'm an immigrant, have a very different story. I don't know what it is like to have to go through what you did, but the
yeah,
dependence, the resilience, the
Survival.
hope, of Jesus, that it's you're not only surviving with your like physical needs but the spiritual ones, because you mentioned a lot of people lost hope, and seeing how you
yeah,
guys for 9 years, that's a long time.
Mhm.
9
Mhm.
years you guys were able to be resilient in a way that many of us won't be able to experience. But man, just seeing the power of Jesus and the miracles that
Yeah.
he did in your life and your families.
And the
Yeah,
faith
he
of
was.
just not having anything guaranteed, but
Mm,
you're still counting on that God's going to provide and knowing who God is to carry you through to when he does provide. Like
mm,
that's insane.
Yeah, we like God was our only hope, and
mm,
without him, we wasn't gonna survive anything because our life depended on him. Even when
mm,
we used to get sick. We used to get sick, but my parents couldn't never get up money to take us to the hospital. And my dad, he just had to pray, and we expect
Mm,
miracle, and we were healed. Like I remember, man, my parents' faith was like, well, I can say like dangerous, man. Like I feel like
mm, mm.
they used to
biblical.
talk. Yeah,
Biblical.
I feel like
Look,
Your dad
yeah,
biblical.
was
they
Moses.
they used to talk to God until God here. Like when I was sleeping
Mm,
in when we were sleeping, they were praying the whole night. They
Mm,
prayed the whole night when we were sleeping, and we would wake up, we would smile, even though we were starving, but we would smile happy. We would smile, not looking ratchet. We were looking
mm,
good because physical to people, we were as ourselves. We look like we're starving, we're hungry. But when people look at us, because we have Christ, we are shining. In their eyes, we are shining. People say we look good, but it's because God was making us look good and
mm,
shining because we put trust in Him and we were depending on Him, even
mm.
though we were 100% had literally nothing. You
Yeah.
know, sometimes kids, you depend on your dad. You're like, I'm not
Mm-hmm.
worrying anything. I'm not worrying anything because my dad has money and my parents
Mm,
has money. But for
mm,
us, they didn't have anything. We didn't have nobody to go through and be like, Dad, do this to us. No, we even as kids, we were only taught we don't have anything. Just ask your God. Don't ask me.
mm. Wow.
So that's
And I
the
how
don't think you
power of
mentioned
prayer. Mm,
I don't
power
think
of
you
prayer.
mentioned this before,
the
but
power of prayer.
Yeah,
how many siblings do you have? You have
I
a
ha-
big family.
I have a big family. I've got five ladies, five sisters, and four and three brothers.
So that's a
Wow.
lot of people
It's a lot.
alone
A
just
whole
having
soccer,
to
the
deal with that.
soccer team, a whole soccer team.
You had the whole soccer, yeah, soccer team ready. Wow.
And
Wow.
Yeah,
No, it's
you're one of the
incredible.
oldest, is that right?
yeah, the second oldest.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That's incredible. And I just want to, just
It
I think it's easy to forget, especially when we're here in a context within the US where we don't have to depend on a lot of people. Like here we can really get a job. You have access, and even what you said, you are not allowed to because of your documentation status. Like you didn't have papers to be able to like kind of hear the mentality where it is like, oh well, you just go get a job and then you feed your
Yeah,
family. It's like this is a whole that doesn't
Mm,
apply
it
to
doesn't.
certain
Yeah,
different stories. It's not because you don't want to, it's because like you couldn't, it wasn't a thing. But just seeing the power of prayer, like it's easy to forget in contexts like this. It's like, well, I can rely on myself, I can depend on myself, like that need of God. But hearing your story is a reminder of like God provides, God is sees, God is present
mm,
in the hardest of like hardest situations. Like he will provide, and he's alive. Like the power that there is in prayer, it's active and alive. So thank you for sharing that. I think it's just
yeah,
a beautiful reminder for all of us who are listening.
definitely. I feel
true.
like it's
Yeah,
also just the prayer of expectancy that gets me.
Mm,
Is we can easily pray for, Lord help me with this, Lord help me with this, but
mm,
it's the prayer of like, no, Lord, I know who you are and I
mm,
know
yeah,
you're capable of providing in this way. Like
mm,
that's a different level of faith. That takes
mhm.
some time wrestling with the Lord, you know.
and
Yeah.
it's not easy at all. And I can
Mhm,
sometimes for me, I can't believe that I used to do that. Like my parents, they used to
mm,
gather us together every single day. Like,
mm,
let's go on our knees. Let's pray. Let's pray that God is going to answer us the one day. He's
Mm.
gonna get out of this situation, that he's gonna get us to a safe country one day where we can have a better life, where we can have education, where we can live
Mm,
as a normal child around the world. We used to
mm,
pray for those things. We used to pray for those things. We used to pray for food. And as I when I was young, I felt like my faith with Christ was more like in another level.
Mhm.
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 Honestly, compared to how I am now old. I
Look,
feel
I
I
like
think
get that.
Marlon has mentioned
I
that
get
too.
that.
America,
I have
Just
mentioned
yeah.
that. Yes,
that
the
is crazy.
dependence. Yep. Yeah. No, I
Yeah,
feel you. I understand. Moving to the US, actually, I have struggled with my faith the
yeah.
most until I moved here, which
I have
people
to.
uh,
Yeah,
yeah, because again, it's easier to depend on yourself, and that like there's something that comes with growing up in a place, and obviously my story is different than yours, but like where safety is not guaranteed,
yeah.
where you
Okay.
can't depend on your government, where that's not a thing. And it's like, no, but we have Jesus, and that is enough. Like, I remember, like,
Enough,
my parents,
enough,
like,
enough.
that's enough. Like, yeah, we have this violence, all of this corrupt government, but Jesus is, he is
Wow, enough.
with
Wow.
us, so, and I miss that. I miss that
Yeah,
kind of, because, yeah, they're, I mean, it's generally safe to go out on the street. It's just different, but anyway, yes, I feel you, John. I, as an
yeah,
immigrant myself as well, I
yeah.
something that at times I do miss, that kind of dependence and faith. You
Yeah,
know.
when I always share this story, I always ask people, especially people from America, people who live over here. I can say Americans. I always ask them like,
Mm-hmm.
when was the last time you ever pray for food, like for your family?
Oof.
When was the last time have you ever sit down and be like, God, please, I'm starving. I need food for tomorrow. I don't
Mm.
have
Mm,
clothes to wear. I don't have shoes. I don't have this. I don't have a cell phone. I don't. Some prayers in America don't exist because they have everything.
mm. Yeah,
People don't pray for
I get that.
things
Yep.
like that. Kids in the
No,
US, they
that's
don't
what I
pray.
was gonna say
Give me
too.
food.
Just like
Mm-hmm.
traveling, I feel like every time I've traveled, which like I've traveled a good bit, but
Yeah,
every time I've traveled, it's so evident that there is a survival mentality that we have never, as Americans, we will never
Mm-hmm.
understand.
yeah,
We will never be able to say in the midst of our, obviously hard seasons, hard things happen, but we'll never be
Mm-hmm.
able to say like, man, like that was like life or death in a sense, like I
Yeah,
yeah,
just feel like
for
I went to
sure. Yeah,
Turkey and they were literally like, well, we're surrounded by countries that want to go to war with us, like
yeah.
we're
Mm-hmm.
always on edge of a war breaking out.
Mm.
Like
Yep.
that's just a different lifestyle. It's a different
Mm-hmm.
experience than a lot of us
Yeah.
in America can even attest to.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
No, I agree. I agree.
Okay, so
I
that's a
agree.
great transition because speaking of okay, so when did you immigrate to the US? You mentioned you were at the refugee camp for 9 years. So when did you
Mm-hmm.
come to the US, and can you share a little bit about what that process was like coming here?
Yeah.
I'm telling you, coming to the US is not easy. I'm telling you, people think
Mm-hmm.
coming to US as a refugee is easy. It's not easy. You have to go through interviews. There's a lot of people in the refugee camp. They go for interview even for 20 years, and they're still
Mm,
Mm.
not accepted. They go to refugee. They have kids. They have babies. They get married. They start their life. They even die
mm,
through going the interviews.
Mm. To
So
the
you have to
process
go through
itself. Mm-hmm.
the process itself is so hard. Like you have to be
Mm-hmm.
accepted. You have to be eligible for that, even though you're a refugee.
Mm.
But we were interviews every 2 months. We go to the office interview. We come back for 9 years.
Mm.
The last interview we did, they had to send the CIS from the US to the US embassy to come interview us, the US CIS.
Mm.
We saw some big, tall, American soldiers coming in, and we were young as an African kid, scared, man. Like
Mm.
they're so huge with tattoos. They come with hats. They look like military, like CIS.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like I'm telling you, I'm serious. Africa, we are very small, skinny people, and they went to the interview. We see this big dude, Americans, beer. They say, okay, now you guys, you got the interviews with the US CIS. What is the
Mm-hmm.
CIS? So they had to call
Yeah.
every child in the office. Every child had to go to the office to ask you questions. You have to say the exactly same question like your brother. If you say
Yeah.
something different, if you say something different, they're gonna terminate your case and you're not gonna go nowhere. So
What
my
are they
dad,
looking for in that instance? Like, what are they asking questions about?
I don't know. This is it's the U.S. immigration. That's like the final point with the U.S. embassy with the U.S. CIS. So they have to
Mm.
ask you a lot of background stuff. You have so my dad, we stayed there all night preparing for the interview so we can say the same thing, all of us. So if you mess up, we are not gonna go no more to the U.S. or whatever. So
No,
so
I
we
get
knew,
that. Yeah.
yeah, we knew we
Yeah.
were gonna go. Yeah. So what made us knew that we were gonna come to the US is our last interview. They sent us to the US embassy. So like, oh, so that means we're gonna go to the US. So if they send our case to Australian embassy, that means we're gonna go to Australia. If they send our final case to Canada, that means oh, we're gonna
Mm.
go to Canada. So when they send our last interview to the US CIS and the US embassy, we knew I'm gonna be an American, baby.
The American dream.
I'm gonna be, what I mean? I'll be like, I was like, man, I'm going to New York. I'm a New York boy.
Oh, that's
Man.
Oh.
amazing. No, yeah,
Yeah,
but
yeah, yeah,
just to give a little bit more insight, because in
yeah,
this
yeah,
sense, it was similar in my experience as well. Again,
yeah.
being a refugee and an immigrant is two different things. But one thing that you said, like I also, John and I had to prepare for our interviews. When you said we
You
had
had,
to stay up, you have to get your
yeah,
facts right because they're trying to look for
right.
holes. Like Anna, you asked, why are they asking? Is they're trying to look for holes in your story
Yep,
to see
yep,
if
yeah,
there's
yeah,
any way to deny you. So,
yeah.
like,
Mm.
I remember being super nervous and I'm like, okay, this is the date. And I remember getting one of the dates wrong and I'm like, great, this is it. This is it. This is it. But thankfully it didn't
With
happen. But
that,
it's just the nerves that people, they don't understand of what when you go through it's like rigorous and it's like not fun. Like you get a serious person like tell me this and this, and so obviously you're nervous and sometimes you I know my mind went blank and I'm like I know that this is when we got married. This is when we start, so you go through your story because they're trying to look for a hole. So it's a very intimidating
Mm-hmm.
process to have to like you feel like you're treated as you're guilty without there
yeah.
being something you're guilty of.
Mm.
I don't know if you felt
I'm
this
gonna,
way, John.
I'm gonna tell you something, man. Like during our US CIS interviews, like those CIS, they asked. We were together with my brothers in there. They asked my brother, "What's
Mm-hmm.
your parents' name? What's your parents'
Mm-hmm.
name?" You know what my brother said because he was scared. He said my our neighbor's name. That's his parents' name.
Aw. No,
We
I
were,
Oh.
we,
get it. I mean, you guys
we
are
were like,
kids.
Well,
we
and
were
let me ask
kids.
a question. This might be really silly, but
We were like, Jesus, we're
what
not
Those
if
going
you
to the
don't
those are big
US.
speak
questions.
what if you don't speak English? Do they have translators?
They have translators.
Okay.
They have
Because that's
translators.
also
Mhm.
intimidating to not be the native language. And
I
so
know.
Oh
Yeah,
you could
yeah,
yep.
also get
Yep.
your dates
layers.
confused.
Mm-hmm.
They have all.
Yeah.
They have everything. They have all the translators in the office translating for
Mm-hmm.
that. So after we finished that interview, then they were like, okay, now we're gonna call you guys and give you the answer. We're gonna send you an envelope if you guys pass the interview and qualified. Imagine that the last interview is
Mm-hmm.
after 9 years, and you can get rejected again over there.
Mm-hmm.
So when we finished that interviews, you know what my dad told us? You guys don't worry about anything. The angel is with us. God sent an angel
Mm-hmm.
already. God sent an angel already to clear a way for us, to
Mm-hmm.
clear every rejection. So
I
there's
want to meet your
nothing.
dad.
You gotta meet him, man. He said,
I want to meet
there
him
is
too.
nothing.
He sounds like
Yeah,
a man of
that's why
like real
that that
faith.
that that's why I wrote the song. He knows my name because
Mm.
God was fighting for my family.
I
I want to
didn't know
cry.
that.
Okay.
He knew us. He knew us. He was
That's so
fighting for
cool.
us. He was fighting for us through our journey. He knew our name. He was like
Mm.
Mm.
before the interview, before even we go to the interview. My dad told my family that I had a dream that God sent the angel already. He already
Mm.
cleared the name. He already removed all the obstacles. That this is it. This is the last one. After
Mm.
these interviews, we're gonna go through. Man, we did the interview. We were nervous, but my dad encouraged us, like, guys, don't be nervous. God already sent an angel. He has already cleaned every mess. So these
Mm.
interviews, we are already in. So we went home. And we just stay for like 1 month. My dad used to have a big phone, the big phone,
Mhm.
the Motorola with the antenna.
Mhm.
Yep.
They told my dad, we're gonna call you guys for 1 month. My dad literally charged that phone for 1 month, and he was sitting outside with that phone, waiting for that one phone call that is gonna change our life. One
Mm.
phone call. So we were all sitting outside, we were just sitting outside doing nothing. And my dad had this phone call. Brrr. He says like, whoa, the UNHCR, which is the United Nations High Commission. They called my dad.
Wow.
And they told my dad picking up the phone, they called, hey, hello, and say, uh, we need your family back to the US Embassy as soon as possible because we want to send your family
Mm.
to the orientation and the medical checkup. Man, that phone call changed our life. Like
Wow.
Wow.
my
That's
dad,
making me emotional.
yeah, because when you hear that they're gonna call you to
Nine
go do a
years.
medical, yeah, that they're gonna send you for a medical checkup, just know that they have accepted you guys, and now you're gonna go to the
Mm.
US. When we had
Mm.
that phone call, man, we felt breakthrough. We jump, man. I was like,
Mm.
I used to go to school over there as a refugee, but I was like, no more. This is it. I'm not from here no more. I'm going to the US.
Man.
You're
Okay,
like, I'm.
I just want to be honest and real about this. Did you ever have doubts in those 9 years that you just were going to stay at the refugee camp?
That's a
I
Okay,
would
good
okay.
question.
imagine.
We had doubts. We had
Mhm.
doubts like when is God gonna
Mm.
rescue my family?
Right.
Like God, why are you we were asking questions? Why are you taking so long?
Mhm.
Yeah.
What's wrong? Can you help us, please? We were doubting him, but at the same time, we were like, no, 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 no. No.
Mm-mm.
Mm.
If we keep him out of our life, then we are dead. We just have
Wow. Mm.
even though nothing is happening, we just have to keep asking him and keep knocking and keep him more closer. We gotta continue keeping him more closer and closer and closer, even though nothing is happening.
Wow. Is
That's
that
That's a
why
what
you
kept.
wrote
whole.
Is
I
that
was
why
just
you
gonna say
wrote
that.
the
Oh,
Jacob song? Sorry.
Huh?
Is that why you wrote the Jacob and the wrestling song? I'm trying to piece all your songs now.
It's true. Yep. That's why I wrote because
To
like
bless
this is
you.
what.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jacob. Because we were fighting. We were fighting with the Lord. You have to bless me.
mm.
It doesn't matter how difficult it is. It doesn't
Mm.
matter how hard it's gonna be. Because my dad used to read us the stories about Jacob in the Bible. Like my dad used to say, Jacob was wrestling with the Lord. You have to bless me. You have to bless me. He didn't give up because you can wrestle with God. He's so powerful. But we have to try, and we have to wrestle him with our faith. We have to wrestle even with our prayer until he say, you guys are bothering me, man. Now I can bless you guys. That's what he did. That's what he
Yeah.
did to Jacob.
Yeah.
That's what he did to Jacob.
Mm-hmm.
Was like, okay,
Oh
okay,
yeah.
now
Yeah.
Jacob wrestled with the Lord until daybreak. And
Mm.
Jacob said, I will never let you go. So we wrestle with God for the blessing so he can take us to the US.
Mm.
And he
Wow.
was and
And look at
he
that.
was yep, and he was tired of us bothering him. And
Hmm.
that's what God wants in our life. He wants us to make him tired by asking and asking and asking and knocking without getting tired. He's gonna get tired and give up and be like, okay, he can't give up, no? He'll be like, okay,
Mm.
my son, I'm gonna bless you now because you've
Mm.
asked.
Cuz your
That's a whole
focus is on
sermon. You
him.
just took it as
Yeah.
church right now,
I know.
guys. Thank you. But
Ah,
also,
yeah,
I, as a musician and vocalist myself,
yeah.
a songwriter as well, getting this insight is gold. So thank you for even sharing like the behind. You're giving us a behind the song without
Cannot
even,
believe it, but you
asking.
know,
So this is your sign. Go to John, John, find his music, and when you listen to these songs, you're going to have an insight of where they began, what's the heart behind them. So it's just beautiful.
I
yeah,
love it.
man, God is good, man. Like whenever I share these things, I always feel so powerful and more closer to
Mhm.
God. I always feel amazing. I'm telling you, it's like He always
Mhm.
like lift my spirit to
Mhm.
see like how God works. He works in miraculous way, and He's
Well,
just
and your family is so talented. You are
Yeah,
talented yourself, but your
Mm,
family is incredibly talented.
yeah,
And so I just can't help but think, I mean, God had that plan the whole time.
mm,
yeah. He had a
Like,
plan. He planned
he
it
just
out.
did.
He
yeah.
did.
That's so cool.
You've taken us on a beautiful journey. Oof, oof. I want to change gears a little bit. Thank you so much for
Uh,
I feel honored just being here and listening to your story.
I
Man,
feel
what a
honored too. I feel
gift.
so honored too. Yeah.
It's a gift, John. Thank you for just being
Mm-hmm.
so open with everything. But I want you to share a little bit of, okay, you immigrated here. How long has it been since you've been in the US? And can you share a little bit of like the beautiful and hard, because there's hardship, that comes with also being an immigrant and a foreigner in this country as well. There's also so much beauty, very
Yeah.
nuanced. There's lots of layers that come with that. Can you share some of that, your experience here in the US?
Yeah. I came in the US 2009, and
Hmm.
I was 17. I was 17 during that time when I came to this country. And all I can say, like, I landed in a country that I used to see on a TV, on a black and
Mm,
white TV.
Mm.
And I used to
mm,
see on movies. Never in my life that I ever thought that I was going to come to the US, to be honest. Like, so for me coming to the US, my first time I landed in New York. That was like the first time I stepped my body in this country. Man, I was amazed by the New York, like the US. I was like, so this is America? I
mm,
was like, wow. As a child, I was like, wow, this is like, yeah, I just saw the beauty. I just saw the development. I just saw some beautiful road that I've never seen in my
mm.
life. I see people.
Yeah.
I see different people that didn't look like me.
Mm,
So everything I was still processing. I was like, wow, so this is the US. And at that time was the only thing was hitting me over there was just culture shock.
mm.
Yes, man, I'm shocked with this country. I'm just shocked
Yeah.
with everything. I see
Mm.
people like so when I came to the US and then we were settled in North Carolina, which was Greensboro. So we
Mm,
had friends, we had people waiting for us at the airport. They welcomed my family. They put us in a beautiful apartment, and we started our life over there. And uh, just like we sleep, and then in the morning, that's when we're like, "What? This is the first day in America." And it's like you're waking up in an egg, like you're being born in a new egg. Because
mm.
we came at night, and you're coming out of a new egg like a baby chicken. You know what I mean? Oh
You're
wow.
being hatched.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So you were like,
Yeah.
so this is how America looks in the morning. You're like, wow, the smell and
Mm,
everything. The
mm,
food, they were giving us food. The food was so different. Everything in the food had salty and sugar. I'm like, the beans.
I
I'm like,
didn't even think about
man,
that, like having your first like sugar rush.
we had, they prepare a lot of food. Everything was in the can. Canned food,
mm, mhm,
box food. Everything,
mhm.
the beans were sugary. The cabbage was sugary. I was like, the chicken was sweet. I'm like, I'm like Jesus of Nazareth. So this is America. Everything is sweet over here. Things that I'm not used to, you know what I mean? But we're
Yeah,
eating, yeah, we're eating. We're like, yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm start thinking of my big fufu in Africa. Yeah, fufu, you know. So, but that one, it was taking time. It was taking time to get used to it.
for
And
sure.
then we started getting friends who started taking us around the country, around the city, introducing us to people, introduce us to new friends, put us in schools, and then we started adjusting. I can say uh, one of the shock thing that I was really surprised with was the snow. It's the cold,
Mm.
Mm, mhm,
being born with sun, the sunlight all my life, and then over the suddenly the snow, man, is coming. It's freezing, and we are like, what is this, man? My question was like,
I
really,
feel that.
I survived the war. Am I really gonna survive
Mm,
this cold in the US?
Oh my
that's
god.
amazing.
You know what I mean? But I can.
We
You're
made
like,
it
I've
here.
survived worse.
How
I
am I gonna
survived,
survive?
but am I going to
Ooh,
survive the cold? That's the real
yeah,
question.
yep. And the same year we landed in the US, it started snowing in December. So I was like, wow. this is never ceased knowing my whole life, and it was really a
Mm,
good.
mhm,
It was really a good, like a good experience. So America, um, we did. After living in the US, I just came to realize that I'm different compared to other people. Of course, my with
mm,
my color, my skinny tone, I came to
mhm,
realize that we totally different people. And thank God, where I live in North Carolina, I feel like God blessed us with good friends. He blessed
mm,
us with friends from here that they were like our sponsors. And they put us in a church where we got good friends in North Carolina in Greensboro.
mm,
So everybody, I feel like everybody loved my family. Everybody, like, they
mm,
welcome us so well. They were
mm,
giving us things. They were giving a bike. As a teenager, 17, they were giving us bikes. They were buying us.
mm,
First of all, my first musical instrument it was my sponsor who bought it for me in North Carolina and
mm.
Greensboro. Then that's when I started learning how to play the guitar. Uh, I can say that going growing up in the U.S. in North Carolina, I never see anything that really shook me, and we were like, man, you're not from here. Like, I knew I wasn't from here, but I felt
Mhm.
like I was introduced to good people in a good community of friends that
Yeah.
makes me they made me feel like, no, 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 you are not from here. Even though you are different, you're from Africa. Even though your color is different, but we love you, and you're from here because you're from the church. So I was based in that community, in that area. And they stayed with us for almost 7 years. They're still our friends up to now. No, and some of those people, they even, when we started our organization, they even joined to be the board of director for my organization.
Mm.
So I felt like I was introduced to good people, good American people
That's good.
who they accepted us. They loved us, and they made us feel like this is your second home. You are loved,
Mm.
and
Mhm.
start your life over here. And that was my experience for 90. It doesn't matter. This country is perfect. Things are not perfect. I've seen things. I can say maybe you guys have questions that you want to ask me for that one, so I can
For
answer.
sure, for sure. No, and thank
Yeah,
you for sharing that because that's very important.
yeah,
As we've
yeah,
had other people being guests here, their experience
yeah,
has been different and not have been
yeah,
welcomed immediately. So the fact
yeah,
that you were able to, and as you said, introduce to good people,
yeah,
church people that
yeah,
loved you guys and welcomed you guys,
yeah.
because
Hmm.
unfortunately, that's not the case always with immigrants.
That's true.
Especially like
Yeah, yeah,
yeah, it's not, unfortunately, sadly, not everyone gets met with that love and welcome,
uh-huh.
like here
Not
giving you
everybody. Yeah,
things, um which is just sides that we've also like have made space
yeah,
for here. It's like the
yeah,
both, and there's so much to be thankful for in being a part of this country. And also, as you said, there's and I wholeheartedly believe this, there's no perfect country. 1000%.
that is not. Yeah,
No perfect country. But it's seeing the beauty because there is, seeing like the good that there is because there is, and also being aware of also the hard things that come with that.
yeah,
So I wanted to ask you, and on that, because yeah, there is something that even when I shared my story of immigration with Anna, just a lot of stereotypes that come with when you're an
yeah,
immigrant, and people make about you or your country, and just all these things that come with that,
yeah,
microaggressions from like little ignorant things to like blown up, like straight up racism, that it's not as comfortable to talk about, but it is also
yeah,
a reality. So I wanted to ask you, because one thing that we also talked about with Anna, it's like language, are different accents, or what you look like, or what country you're from, and people saying, for example, in my personal experience, like, oh, you don't look like this, or you don't look like you're from Honduras, or you don't dress like you're from Honduras, and it left
yeah,
me confused in a lot of ways, and like, what do you mean by that? Or even though people always compliment me on my English, they're like, oh, your English is so good. And I'm like, thank you. And I know what you mean by that. What's sometimes the intention or assumption of like, oh, immigrants can't sound like that, you know. So I wanted to, if you are willing to share some of your experience with that, because
Yeah,
it is also something that as immigrants we get stereotypes, you know. Have you experienced
yeah,
that? Because
yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, again, your every experience is different. Maybe you haven't experienced that, but you know, if you can tell us a little bit of that side of like immigrating and being here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. What I understand is that I've experienced all that before, and
Hmm.
what I've learned in I've experienced that, and I've learned a lot from that, especially being an immigrant.
Mm. Yeah.
You just have to be ready for anything, because of
Mm.
course we are immigrants. We are different, and this is not our country. We're coming here to make a new life. And I can say my first experience was in high school, because I
Mm.
know high school sometimes they are very childish kids over there. You know what I mean? And
Hmm.
so, like on our class, there was some of our classmates, they were asking me, tell us about Africa. Did you guys sleep with the lion? Like, you live in the lion. Like, did you guys live with lions
Hmm.
and like, you guys have like house in the trees, sleep in the trees, and just live around animals, like
Mm.
lions and stuff like that. So I was looking at those kids. I'm like, for me, my beautiful best answer I was giving those kids in high school is like, yes, I lived with lions.
Just
I
run
lived
with
with,
it.
I,
I think this is
yeah,
incredible.
yeah, 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 yeah. I was like, yes, I lived with those lions. As a matter of fact, to be considered a man, to be a man, to be to be considered to be a man in Africa, in my culture, you have to kill a lion. And
Oh my
You did it.
goodness.
I told them I kill a lion because in order for in my culture, Africa,
Hmm.
to be given a wife, it shows your strength, like you can protect your community, you can protect your village, and
Hmm.
in order to do that, you have to go kill a lion. So I told them I killed a lion in my village. They're like,
That is
what you did?
amazing.
Yeah,
Can't.
because you're asking me. I'm like, are you kidding me? Am I Samson in the Bible to kill a lion? Like really? You know?
Did they believe you?
You flipped it.
Probably. Yeah.
Yeah, they believe me because they asked the question in a curiosity, like, maybe you're from the jungle, like Africa doesn't have technology, Africa doesn't have cities, Africa. Look,
Yeah.
so in order for me to cut the story short, I told them, yes, I lived with lions and I killed a lion before. So you guys, I'm strong, I'm powerful. I did kill a lion.
Watch out.
They watch out. So
Watch
they
out.
believe it. Yeah. So they believe me. They believe me, but at the same time, I told them, hey guys, listen, there's a lot of poverty in Africa. In
Hmm.
Africa, there's some parts that are pretty developed. We have cities. Not everybody
Yeah.
in Africa is poor. Not everybody in
Yeah.
Africa is poor. Not everybody in Africa has experienced war. There's some people, countries in Africa that never
Mm.
have war, like
Yeah.
Tanzania. Like
Hmm.
there's a lot of countries like Botswana. There's a lot of South Africa. There's a lot of super developed. They have big cities. They have roads, just like New York. They have they're well developed, and there's a lot of poverty in Africa. We have tribes. We have tribes in Africa, like
Hmm.
like the Maasai tribes in Kenya. They live
Hmm.
with lions. That's their culture.
Hmm.
They live in
Hmm.
the they live in a Maasai Mara where there's lions. They even hunt animals because it's their culture. We have those kind of people in Africa that they
Yeah.
live with lions and animals. It's not a problem for them. They know how to handle lions. They know how to deal with
Mm.
them. They live with them. You can even go in Kenya and visit the tribe. You're gonna see, wow, this is their life. They live in huts. We have those kind of people in Africa, but it's not everybody that lives there.
Yeah.
So it's kind
And
of
that's the
yeah,
layer that I usually talk with
yeah,
people, and I think a lot of immigrants just
yeah,
like, depending on where you come from, it's like the
yeah,
stereotype is like you're all the same, you speak the same language, and I think it happens in some ways in Latin
yeah,
America as well. Like
yeah,
everyone
yeah,
assumes that my culture is Mexican, and I love my Mexican brothers and sisters, but
yeah.
Honduras is completely different. We
It's a
we have
different,
different food. It's in the same in Africa. Like there's
yeah,
so many dialects, so many languages, so many different realities, you know, that happen, and it
yeah,
can't be reduced to, oh, it all looks one way. So thank you for sharing
Yeah,
that, because I think it's good. and
yeah,
and I'm so glad that you had that posture of, because it's not easy to also educate
yeah,
people sometimes, and
yeah, yeah,
because it's stereotypes, and every person, depending on personality, will react different to
yeah,
those experiences. I love that you went the humor side and just totally ran with it. But also, I'm glad
yeah,
that you were able to educate in some. Hey, like,
yeah.
this is Africa is a big continent, and
It
there's
is. Yeah,
many different countries, that
yeah. And cut. Yeah,
we're not all one.
Mhm.
So
yeah, yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Just
I've experienced that also also in normal life. Of course, I have an accent. In accent will
mhm,
never gonna change. And
yeah.
whenever I speak, whenever I talk, especially when you're introducing to people like me, like young people like
Mhm,
me, they're like, "So what's your name?" What? They're like, they ask me like, "Tita, what? Did you understand what
mhm,
I say? This is my name."
Mhm.
mhm,
Because they already
mhm,
say it's like they already say we can understand your accent, and we can understand.
mhm,
So those kind of things sometimes you
mhm.
always like put me down a little bit of like,
Of
why do I have to
course.
repeat myself all the time? I have to
Mhm.
Right,
say my name
right.
once, but you gotta explain. Even when I say John, what? John? It's like John has to be said in a type of way. I'm like, I say
I
John.
want to hear your best American accent.
What? I'm
Don't
like,
I want
expose
to
him
hear
like that.
I'm like, am I supposed to say John in American accent? How do you even say John in American accent? When I
Yeah.
say
No, that's real though.
when I say John,
There
you
you
say
go.
John in American. So those kind of little things, but for
And
me,
little things have
I
become
think
big
I do
things that you
understand.
think about consistently, you know? Because I
Yeah, yeah,
think
yeah.
names,
You know
it's
what I
it's
mean?
such a thing,
Eh,
like in Africa, in Asia, in Latin America. I mean, even my name, like a lot of people, I
yeah,
do a lot of, even for this podcast, I debated, am I
yeah,
going to do the English version or the original, which is in Spanish, Marlin. And I understand,
yeah,
obviously, it's in a different language, but there is something just about, like, something as that might seem little, that is like, oh, dismissive, but people usually don't think about their names. And then you go
yeah,
to you become an immigrant, and you're like, oh my gosh, I didn't know my name was going to become this whole thing every time you introduce yourself.
yeah,
Into like the why it should be your name or the why it shouldn't be your name, and having to defend, even like explain into the whole thing of like, oh yeah, this is my name. Well, there have been times that I'm like, you know what? I don't have energy for this. I'm just gonna say my name's Marlon. That's what that,
yeah. Even
Just
even
rub
my
it down
name.
for us, Marlon.
Yeah, yeah. Even the name, even my name John. I go
hmm
with John. Man, when they ask what's my name when I'm surrounded with Americans or maybe friends or whatever, and then they ask my name, what's your name? John. They kind of look surprised when I say I'm John.
hmm
I'm like,
hmm
they're not expecting me to say that name. I'm like, maybe no, they're expecting, but they're not expecting that somebody like me can be that John. I'm like, why? A name
Yes,
is a
that
name.
part.
Right,
A name
right.
is a name. If you want to be called an African name, go get an African name, call yourself, it's going to be your name, register your name with the government, and you're going to be like that. That's your name. You know,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like, so whenever I say I'm John, I'm like, wow, John, wow. I'm like, oh, maybe you think I'm from Africa, and then you think that that's not my name. So those kind
Yeah.
of things, I'm like,
It's your
and
American
and
name.
even yeah, and I think that it's a great thing to even be cognizant of as we think about names. It's a way to love people well as well, like
Mhm.
as small as it is, like, yeah, this is my name,
yeah,
and I want you to honor it, and also not question
yeah,
it. Don't
Well, there's
question it.
also like
And I think
pride
it
that
goes into the,
yeah,
comes.
for sure, and stereotypes. I mean, that's where, like, they're so surprised that
yeah.
you, a man from Africa, from Republic of Congo, because of stereotypes, right, and because of upbringing, because of what they think of what a person from Africa should be named,
A, bl-
they're like,
a black
you
man, a
know
black man, a
a
black man.
black man.
Let's
Yeah,
say a
yeah,
black man being John.
Mhm.
yeah, that
John,
too, that too.
that John is in the
Yeah,
Bible. I give my dad. We give ourselves. John is in the Bible. It's an English
yeah.
Bible.
Mm-hmm. It's
Yeah.
good,
So
it's
things like
good.
that. But yeah,
Yeah, no, thank you for sharing, because I know it's not something that I hear a lot of people talking about, just
yeah,
what in our experiences. Because I, again, and it's a thing. We're thankful to be here as immigrants, right? Our countries of origin have a lot that we just survive from, right? And
Yeah.
also, as you said, in the part of the imperfections that we have to deal with as immigrants. And I can't even imagine, because obviously and I was telling Anna, like, as a Latina woman who is lighter skinned, I can also pass. I'm considered like a white passing Latina, but
Mm.
I have seen the experiences different to my brother who is darker skinned, or who has a thicker accent, and his experience changes and has experienced other things that I personally haven't, and I can imagine for you as well, as a black man from Africa, your
Yeah.
experiences, you also are stereotyped in a different way, that probably when people just see you, they see a black man, but you're like, but my experience also is from a different place,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Can
Yeah.
you share just a little bit? I'm very curious,
Yeah.
about that experience between, being black in America, but
Yeah.
also like culturally you're different.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna tell you something. Like before I came to the US,
Hmm.
we did orientations. When you're about to come to the US, they start teaching you about the US. They teach you about the police in the US. They teach you about
Mm,
the American culture, how to live. And they told us, when you go to the US, police is your best friend.
mm,
They say police is gonna be my friend. When you go to the US,
mm,
just know police is your friend. He's somebody that you are not supposed to be scared. A police officer.
mm, mm.
So I can we a lot of refugees we come with the mindset because we went through
Yeah.
orientation. They're like, oh, whenever you need help, call the police. You stuck on the road in the US, call the police, gonna be there to rescue you. Like when you see in the
Mm,
US police, you see police in the US, just know that's your friend. It's not somebody to be scared of. Like some police in Africa, we are scared of police. They can beat you, they can slap you,
mm.
they can do something bad to you. We're like, police in Africa is people that we are not closer to them, But in America, when we did the orientation, we came in the US, and after staying a while for America, we started seeing this racism stuff. Oh, police getting in trouble with the black man,
Mm. Yeah.
killing black
Yeah.
black people all the time.
Mm,
After seeing those kind of things, and it started coming into our mind. Hmm, remember, you're a black man in America. You can't forget that,
mm.
even though you're from Africa, even though you're an immigrant, even though you're a refugee. They told you police is your friend, but af- we
Mm.
started changing our minds, seeing something
Mm.
different perspective after seeing what has been happening. Oh, police brutality. Oh, police is killing black men. So you were like,
Yeah.
why is police killing a black man? And we were told that police is our friend. When I was young, I used
Mm.
to think like, why?
Oof.
Police is our friend. Who's gonna help
Mm.
us in the US? Who's gonna
Wow.
help us? It started like bringing some thoughts into our mind, and like
Mm.
they told us police is our friend. How? He's killing a black man, and what's going on
Wow.
over here? So anytime when I'm stopped by police, I always have to make sure that, this I used to feel like, no, 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 I'm not gonna be scared no more because he's a friend. But after seeing what happened now, it changed my mind. I'm like, I have
Yeah.
to be scared a little bit. I have to get ready for it because I don't
Yeah.
know what's gonna happen, in
Mm.
the I'm from Africa. Yes, I have different culture. I have different
Mm-hmm.
way of view things compared to a black American, like a
Mm-hmm.
real black American in Africa. We are all black people, but we are all
Mm-hmm.
different. We have different culture.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah.
We have different cultures. I used to think maybe because I'm Africa, that's gonna save me from the police. That's gonna make me
Mm.
different from compared to a black America who is an
Mm.
American from here.
Mm.
I used to think like that. Oh, maybe me, I'm safe from a police.
Mm.
I
Mm.
used to
Mm-hmm.
have that mindset, but maybe I'm safe. But
Mm-hmm.
I came to realize, no, 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 I don't think you are.
Yeah.
Remember,
Mm.
you
Wow.
still have the same cut. You are still in one family. You are still black. So I have to make sure that I'm doing what this police is telling me. I have to
Mm.
make sure that I'm following the rules.
Yeah.
For me, I have to make sure that I'm not gonna argue with this police. I have to make sure that I'm obeying
Mm.
because I want to be safe. I want to
Mm.
be. I want to raise my children in the future.
Mm.
I fighting with them, arguing with them, disobeying is just gonna make me die instead of saving my life, you know.
Yeah.
So I
Wow.
always make sure that I always make sure remember, even though you're from Africa, you're different culture, you have an accent, remember, you are still the same color with my brothers over here.
Mhm.
Mm,
So that kind of like changed my mind a little bit in
Mhm.
making me realize like, man, I just have to follow what I've been told and so that I can be safe because, um, I know who I am. But
Yeah.
it's things that we've experienced, and
Mhm.
yes, we have different culture. In as an African man,
Mhm.
my culture is my culture is totally different compared to African men from here, African American from here.
Mhm.
Because it's just the way we were raised different in the different
For sure.
background.
Mhm.
Yeah. So, but at the same time, we are still the same. We are
Yeah.
still the same
Yeah.
black
yeah.
man. We're
Mhm.
still the same, and it
Yeah.
kind of like changed my perspective.
Yeah.
And yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Thank you
I
for
hope I make
sharing.
sense.
You
Yeah.
made absolute sense, and thank you for
Yeah.
being willing to go there. I know not it's not an easy conversation. I know it's not,
Yeah.
but thank you for just being vulnerable. I just want to thank you for
Yeah.
being open with us
Yeah, I
about
feel
that.
like that's like such insight into another
Yeah.
perspective too of
Yeah.
Hmm.
just
Absolutely.
being told,
Absolutely.
one thing and then
Yeah.
experiencing certain things.
That's why I work for a refugee agencies, and I always meet with a lot
Mm,
of African
I was
young.
just about to
I,
mention that.
yeah, yeah. I work with a lot of African newly immigrants that come to the US,
mm,
and I always, when I like they're like my clients, I talk to them. They come to office, I visit them. I'm like, hey guys, listen,
Mm,
mm,
America, this is a beautiful country, man. This is
mhm,
like this is your dream gonna come true over here. This is where you're gonna have your kids. This is where you're gonna start your
mm,
life. You're gonna be successful in this country if you work hard. They're gonna love you in this country,
mm,
but you have to make sure that you follow these laws. You obey the law.
mm,
Like the laws over here, they're different. The way they behave in America is different compared to how we behave in Africa.
mhm,
So making sure that for your safety, so that you won't hurt your family members, you won't hurt your parents, because you might be killed easy over here in the US if you don't follow these
mm.
laws. You have to be
yeah,
Yeah.
very, very careful. Gotta be very careful with the type of friends that you choose. I tell
Mm,
them all the time, I try to mentor them. You gotta make sure that you live right, follow the police. If the police stop you, just follow the rules. Don't
yeah,
argue with the police. We know sometimes you may be innocent, and you want
mhm,
to you want to prove the point that I'm innocent. You gotta know that I'm innocent, but remember that. Look at your color.
mm,
that's so
Even though
good.
you, even though you are innocent, your
mhm.
life might end right there.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
for the way I told them the way to do, even though you are innocent, give them whatever they want. Give them
Mm,
whatever they want. They ask for this, give them this, give them this. Even though you are innocent, get out of that place
Just
safe. I
yeah,
tell them like that.
yeah.
Yeah,
that's so good, John. I also can't help but really like love the fact that you came from another country as an immigrant
yeah,
and now you're being able to pour back into people
Mm,
that were in your shoes when you were
yeah.
17 coming here. I
Uh-huh.
just love how God has worked that out in your story.
Yeah.
That's like
yeah.
incredible that he's redeemed that in a way. And I'm sure
God
that's
God is
like
good. Yeah.
that's something that is probably healing for you as well, I would imagine,
Yeah.
you know. So,
Yeah.
okay, well that's a perfect transition into we have one more question for you. How can we love immigrants well, considering what you just said, how you mentor uh the ones that you work with and just like people that we come across daily that, are maybe newly here from the US or they've been here for a while. But what does that look like exactly in your way of
Yeah.
loving immigrants well?
For me, I can when we say immigrants, I'm gonna truly speak when it comes to refugees because
Mhm. Yes. It's different.
immigrants, they're totally different people.
Mhm.
Yeah.
These are the people that some of them they have good life.
Yeah.
They
Mm,
didn't come here. They didn't. Most of them they didn't come here. Most of them they really choose. I want to migrate in the U.S. because
yeah.
their financial was so good.
Yeah,
You
I'm
know
glad you
that
pointed that
the
out. That's
yeah,
true.
like immigrants are so different.
It's different. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
it's
yeah.
different. Immigrant,
Yep.
because we chose, like, I chose to go through the
Yeah.
process, right? That's
You
the
Right.
chose
difference.
it.
You
Yeah.
you as a refugee, you didn't have the
Yeah.
choice. I mean,
I
and
didn't
you
have the
told us, you
choice.
walked us through that. You didn't have the choice of where you're going to be resettled. So you
Yeah.
are just like at the mercy of whatever the immigration,
Yeah.
the refugee process is, and that's what you go
Yeah.
through. So
Right.
as
Yeah. So
refugees, from a refugee perspective, how, and you work with refugees, what are some ways
yeah.
that we can be aware of to love refugees well?
I just I just want refugee to be understood. They
Mm,
need to just understand refugee well, that they need to be loved. They need to be understood that these people, they came from a really tough place,
mm,
and the only thing we can do for them is to help them get started.
Mm.
And
mm,
when you help a refugee, you don't you don't insult them. You don't look down on them because of their
mm,
life. Because remember that these people, they're very hard worker. They've
Mhm.
seen it all. They have seen it all. These people
mm,
can, their life may fail miserably down there when they were in Africa or whatever, but when they come here, they might work hard, and even they might defeat you.
mm,
They might defeat you in the way of life in the future. Until like, you may be born, or you might be born here in the US. That person lives a miserable life. They might come here after, sometimes they might be on top over here,
mm,
because of their hard work.
mm.
They just work so hard. They just need to be loved. And I just want to say that you just have to help them, continue helping them, so they can help themselves in the future. And uh, what else I was supposed to say? Uh, just accept it. I'm going to give you an example. Nashville,
Mhm.
Nashville,
Yeah. Mhm.
Nashville don't love refugees.
Mm, mhm,
I need to go to the Senate of Nashville
mm,
and tell them, Nashville, I don't know why you guys don't love refugees.
mm,
Why do you say
But
that?
like Nashville, I don't know, maybe because it's a Republican state. And
mhm,
no, I work over here, and I see how
mhm.
they treat refugees.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
refugees, when they come to Nashville, Tennessee, they're not even getting better apartments that they're supposed to get. They put them in
Mm,
a really, really dangerous place. I know they don't have money. I know it's expensive to put them, but just trying to put them in decent place where they're not going to experience uh,
a
the trauma that they
dignifying.
went through. You
Yes,
might put them in a,
dignifying.
yeah, you're going to put them in a place where they still have gunshots nightmare. The gunshots
Mm,
still happening at night
yeah.
in a place
Yeah.
where you put them. It's
Mm,
just building the trauma.
mm,
It's just building the
yeah.
trauma. So that shows that no, we don't care about them. We just
Yeah.
do this, but try to treat
So
them
care.
well.
Care.
Thank you. Give them good care, and try, especially a lot of they don't they need friends. They need
Yeah.
friends, American
Mm.
people from
Friendships.
here.
Yeah.
They need people from
Mm,
here. They need people from here. You can put them in the same community where they came from. Like, oh, because they're from Africa, they put them in the same place where there's other African. They're not gonna grow like that.
mm,
Yeah.
They're not gonna get proper direction. Their mindset is not gonna change faster. But if you put them with people from here, with different cultures, they're gonna learn a lot, and they're gonna get up on their feet so faster.
Mhm.
Because they live with different kind of people. They're gonna see how they
yeah.
live their life, and they're gonna want to catch up too as well.
Yeah.
So something like that. Just care for
Yeah.
refugees, and uh, we need them to have friends from here as well.
Yeah.
People visit them in their houses, and people, different people. We need churches to get involved, especially a church. Churches here in
Yeah.
Nashville, a lot of them, they're not active into refugees. I live over here. I
Mm.
work with
Yeah.
them.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
they're not visiting them. When a refugee come to the US, man, they expect somebody from here to
Mm,
go welcome them, show them love, be like, wow, welcome to our country. They
Mhm.
don't
yeah.
get that. They don't
Oh,
get
for sure.
American.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they
No.
don't get they don't get American friends to go visit them to their
Mm,
houses. Visit them take them. Be like, hey, we got you. We're gonna be with you, advise you. We're
Mhm.
gonna find your friends. We're gonna make you feel like, wow, I'm home.
Yeah.
They're just
Yeah.
like they're just you just throw them in the apartment and just left them like that.
Yeah.
These people
Man.
they need friends from here. They need to feel like, wow, we are welcome over here. These people love us. These are
Yeah.
new people we are meeting, and that's gonna help boost their morale. And it's gonna and those friends give they're gonna give those friends gonna help their kids to advise them about go to school, this is how you
Yeah.
gotta live,
Right.
do this fast, get a job, do this, do this. It's people from here. It's not people from Africa gonna help them
Mm.
Right.
from here. You took
Yeah.
them
They're
out
in
of
a
Africa, and
different.
then
Mm.
you took them from Africa, and then you're bringing them in another African camp in the US together.
Mm.
Hmm.
Yeah.
How are they gonna grow? How are they gonna
Yeah.
grow?
And even
I'm
to
swear.
adapt and navigating the U.S. system,
Thank you.
like
It
I
it's not
I
gonna.
tell people
Yeah.
the hardships of just that. And even when I shared my story, I was telling Anna I felt like a kid, even though I was 22 years old when I immigrated to the U.S.
Yeah.
because there's so much unknown.
Yeah.
So I know that
Yeah.
that's one
Yeah.
of the reasons Anna and I want to make a space for people like you, that you are bringing us
Mm-hmm.
insight into, hey,
Yeah.
how can we love, you know, refugees that come to this country that, so you mentioned
Yeah.
care, just care, number one, because I think, and I heard someone recently share that one of the, and this was from an American pastor here, and he was saying one of the things that we see in our culture is the apathy. It's not, it's the apathy towards people. And I think that that is
Mm.
something that immigrants and refugees have experienced firsthand into people don't care about us. We're just there, but the reason why we also are bringing these stories is because we want to change the narrative. Like, no, because of Jesus, because we're brothers and sisters, we are called to care, not only care, but
Yeah.
to love,
Care.
and
Yeah.
the specific ways that we can do it is first listening, like get to know us. And you said something so beautiful that we hadn't shared before, because we've been asking everyone that we've invited to share their story to tell us, like, how can we love well immigrants or refugees, and you said friendship. Like being a friend
Yeah.
requires investment, requires intentionality,
Oh
requires
yeah.
you to go out of your way, and not only that, but open up your life. And that is a big
Yeah.
challenge. It's a big challenge to being a friend is opening up your life. It's opening up
Yeah.
your home, your time, it,
Yeah.
so yeah, no,
And
I think it's
I'm
good to think
I'm re-
about that.
and I'm really gonna give you a perfect example that you're gonna understand when I mean care and friend.
Mm-hmm.
My family was it's a big family. When we
Mm-hmm.
went to Greensboro, when we went to Greensboro, we the community that received us, the of Americans, they were so friendly. They met us at
Mm-hmm.
the airport. They came to visit my family. They told their kids, hey, this is our new friends. I don't even It's not even about financially, them giving us money or giving us physical
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just
Mm-hmm.
them being there, come to visit us, take us out, take us to picnic, take us to Walmart,
Mm-hmm.
and taking us to play with their dogs, taking us over there, introducing us to their kids who are in college. I'll be
Mm-hmm.
like, hey, my kid is going to college, is finishing university. Us African kids, we were watching their kids how they do things. They were like,
Yeah.
oh, the kids had a little job. She came from college. She worked a little bit, then she went back to college. Because they were good people, we were watching them. We're like, oh wow,
Mm-hmm.
that's how they do. Because they are our friends. They come, hey guys, our kids are back in town and they have a summer job and they're going back to college. They're getting their degree. They're finishing. My family, it's because we had those friends and we were watching what they're doing. We were like, oh, we need to get a part-time job and we go to school. We went to school. We studied. It's because we were watching those friends how they're doing. They, oh, we are going to. We have a camp for a teenage camp for church. They take us over there. We're like, this is good community. This is good friends.
So
It's like the way
basically
they.
getting you involved with,
Mm-hmm.
their daily
Making
activities
you a
and the
part
things
of their
that,
Yeah,
daily life,
right.
like just
Yeah,
normal,
they,
regular
bringing you
life. You
in.
said
yeah,
nothing special.
yeah.
Their life,
Nothing
period.
special. No
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
financial. Just watching them. You see how they're
Life.
succeeding, how their kids are going to
Mm-hmm.
school, how they're finishing. it opened our eyes to be like, wow, we gotta go to school, we gotta have a job, and we have to finish. Just
Mm.
watching that through that, how they live their life,
Yeah.
it make us also achieve those things. That's why my family,
Mm,
everybody achieved it. We have a
Right.
doctor in the family who went to school. We have
mm,
all the guys, they have their masters. Everybody in my family has a degree, and you are all
mm,
refugees. You are all
mm,
refugees.
It's
It's
amazing.
because, yeah, it's because we watch those friends.
mm.
We watch how they do things, how they live the American life.
Hmm.
We apply it to our life. If it's good, we watch the good things. We're like,
Yeah, the
oh,
good.
this,
Keep the good. Yeah,
yeah,
keep the good.
we keep the
Yeah,
good.
keep the good.
We're like, yeah, we're like, wow, this is how they apply for credit card. This is how they buy a house. This is how. That's
Mm-hmm.
what I tell refugee. That's what I tell refugee. Find those churches. Good community is very
Mm.
important for these people. It doesn't. It's not even about money financially. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
because yeah,
Power
those
of
friends gonna
friendship,
tell you
man. Power of friendship.
it's important.
Power of
Yeah,
friendship.
and
Yeah.
Well,
care.
and just
Power of
also
friendship.
like how much that shaped your view of America. Because I
Yeah.
feel
Yep.
like
Yeah.
we mentioned, like, you know, not everyone has the same experience, unfortunately, moving.
Everybody has a different. Yeah.
But at the
A
same
different story.
time,
Yeah.
like how much that impacted you and it carried
Yeah.
you to where you are now and it shaped who you are and your family.
It did. It did
It
100%.
had a
I'm telling
huge
you.
Yeah.
impact on you.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because
Yeah.
we were having a good jealous. There's a bad jealous and a good jealous.
Yeah.
Mm.
We
Yeah.
had a good jealous. We're like, their kids are getting masters. We're gonna go to college and get
We can do
masters.
that. Yeah.
We're like, I think we can do this. Even though it's
Yeah.
hard,
Now
even
you
though
have
ours
access
ours
and
is gonna be
resource. Yeah.
yeah, even though ours is gonna be difficult, we were like, I think we can also do this.
Mm.
Because you learn from others how they do.
Hmm.
That's why if you have bad friends, you're gonna learn bad things, and then you're gonna end up getting in trouble.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
So
so good.
commute,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
good community and good
Good
friends. It's
community.
very
Yeah.
important. Yeah.
Very, it's pivotal. And I think there's a friend too who she's an immigrant, and she said this,
Yeah.
and I found it super profound. She said, the way that someone from a different culture treats you introduces you into that culture as well. So
Yeah.
that impacts and shapes like your first experience. If it's a
Right.
negative one, then you're going to be guarded from people from that culture, right? Or the other way
Yeah.
around. And she was talking about, she was introduced to a different culture and the way that they welcomed her. And as you're saying, the way that they showed her their culture, she said, I was able to appreciate it and celebrate it in a different, beautiful way because of how I was
Mm.
introduced to it. So it's very, very interesting to see, in
Yeah.
your story, how that also help you navigate. And I think it's not either or, as we've said, and as you share the real hardships you know, of also immigrating here. There's so many good
Yeah.
you can achieve. You have access, you have resources.
You
And
have
also there
yeah.
is, you have other things that you have to face, as being immigrant or having the, all the things that come with that are harder. So yeah, anyway, thank you so much for
Yeah.
I
sharing
love that.
your
Yeah.
story. It's
We did it.
incredible.
Yeah.
Incredible, incredible. Anna, I don't know if you want to close us out.
Yeah, I was just going to say one other thing too. I think just by caring, we're
Yeah.
also being able to provide a safe place because like you just said, coming here, you're told one thing and
Mm.
then now
Mm.
as if for my fellow Americans out there, as Americans, we have the opportunity to also treat people in a way that they feel safe and they feel like
Yeah.
it's okay to be
Mm.
themselves. Like it's okay to
Yeah.
not know, what to do, but to bring them in, like your friends, like in Greensboro that you said. I think that's so cool because
Mm.
it just challenges me more so to think, okay, like how am I treating people that aren't from here in a
Mm.
way that is a positive view
Yeah. Yeah.
of
That
coming
is true.
here?
Yeah.
I
Mm.
know there's a lot of, hardship and there's a lot of unfair things that happen like we've talked
Mm.
about, but how can we as people, as
Mm.
Americans, also just do our civil duty of treating
Mm.
people in a dignifying way? So,
Mm.
um
Yes.
okay, last thing I want to say is
Yeah.
go check out John's music first off. He's very, very
Yes.
Yeah.
talented. Like I said, he's
Yes.
located in Nashville, but I think he has some shows coming up soon. So go check out johntibanera.com, and he has information on music that he's releasing, I'm guessing, and some exciting updates with tours,
Yeah.
dates and stuff like that he's got coming up too. So make sure you check that out. Also, what's your Instagram handle?
John Tibonera.
Easy enough.
At
Okay.
John
Here you go.
Tibanera. There we go.
So
Oh,
go follow
you mean
him.
my everything? You mean my Instagram handle? You mean my Instagram name?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the same, just my name.
Okay. So easy
Okay.
enough. Just find him on Instagram. And we are going to play a cool little clip of his song that he mentioned on here, He Knows My Name, after this. So stay tuned so you can listen to that. But also, something else really cool that he is involved with, like he mentioned briefly on the podcast earlier, is a foundation that him and his brothers started called Tibanera Foundation. If you want to
Hmm.
find out more about that, go to tibanerafoundation.org. And it is a really, really cool
Oh yeah.
concept. Once again, just being able to pour back into his homeland and where he's from. They basically they've done shoe drives, they've done different ways of gaining resources to bring back to the Congo and the people in the Congo. So
Yeah.
it's really, really cool. You can find them on Instagram at Tibanera Foundation. But just go check that out because that is something that is really cool that you guys are doing here.
Let's
Any
do it.
last words you want to say, John, before we end this?
I did enjoy this podcast. I was not expecting it was gonna be a good turnout, but it did. So
Yay!
Yes.
definitely,
Let's
definitely.
go. I'm so glad. Thank you
Well, we
again
really
for
Absolutely.
joining
appreciate
us.
yeah,
Uh,
we really appreciate you sharing all that
I
you
really
shared,
Yeah.
appreciate it too.
Yeah.
and I know it's going to
Thank you,
bless
guys.
a lot of people. So, thank you guys for tuning in, and we will catch you on the next episode.
Next episode.
Bye.
Bye, guys.